Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are digging into one single government document, but wow, does it pack a punch. It's a directive that kicks off a huge shift in U.S. foreign policy by ordering a withdrawal from 66 international organizations, all at once. So right here, this is the official title of the presidential memo from January 7th, 2026. And it's pretty direct, right? The whole idea is to pull out of any group that is, quote, contrary to the interests of the United States. That one phrase, that's the trigger for a massive rethink of America's place in the world.
And here's the magic number, 66. Just let that sink in. This isn't some slow, gradual process. Nope, we're talking about a single order to completely cut ties. We mean membership, funding, the whole shebang from 66 different global groups.
Okay, so let's really dive into this directive. What exactly is the memo telling people to do, and just how big of a deal is this?
You know, when you read the document, the language is, well, it's blunt. It tells every single executive department to start this process immediately and get it done as soon as possible. This is not a, hey, let's think about it kind of thing. It's a direct, urgent order.
Right, so a decision of this magnitude doesn't just come out of nowhere. You have to wonder, what's the official reasoning here? Well, the memo actually walks us through the exact steps that led to this point.
So according to the document, this whole thing was a pretty deliberate process, taking almost a full year. It all kicked off with an executive order way back in February 2025. That order basically set the Secretary of State on a mission: review every single U.S. membership in these international groups. That review turned into a big report for the president, and, well, that report led to this final decision.
And it all comes back to this one key phrase: contrary to the interests of the United States. Seriously, this is the linchpin for the entire thing. It's the official, stated reason for pulling out of all 66 of these organizations.
Okay, so now for the big question. Who's on the list? When you actually look at the names of these 66 organizations, you really start to get a sense of just how massive this is. We're talking about groups all over the world, involved in pretty much every aspect of global policy you can think of.
Now here's something that might surprise you. You'd think a list like this would be all about the UN, right? But it's actually split almost down the middle. We've got 35 organizations that are totally independent and 31 that are part of the UN system. That tells you the initial review must have cast a really, really wide net.
Okay, one of the biggest themes that jumps right out is climate and the environment. I mean, this is a full-on exit from the world's main environmental groups. We're talking about leaving the IPCC, that's the top scientific body on climate change, the main agency for renewable energy, and even the original UN Climate Convention. This isn't just trimming the edges, it's taking apart the very foundation of global environmental policy.
And it doesn't stop there. Another huge area is security and international law. The list goes after some major players here: key forums where countries work together on counterterrorism, institutes that literally promote justice and the rule of law, and even bodies that handle things like criminal tribunals and tracking conventional weapons.
Then you have the economic side of things. That sector gets hit hard too. The list includes the UN's main body for trade and development, plus a bunch of regional commissions whose entire job is to help boost economies in places like Africa and Latin America.
And look, we've got to be clear here. This is just scratching the surface. These 15 examples, they're just a snapshot. The complete list of 66 covers basically every area of global cooperation you can think of. We're talking culture, technology, human rights, you name it, it's probably on there.
So, okay, the directive is out there, but saying you're going to leave is one thing, actually doing it is another. So what happens now? Well, the memo actually lays out the game plan.
Basically, the memo hands the how-to guide over to the Secretary of State. The State Department is now on the hook for figuring out all the complicated legal and diplomatic steps to actually pull the U.S. out of these 66 different groups. That is not a small job.
But here's a really interesting and maybe the most important part. The memo has this one little line that says the president's review remains ongoing. Think about that. That wording leaves the door wide open. It suggests this list of 66 might just be the beginning.
And that really leaves us with the big final question, doesn't it? Forget about any one group on this list for a second. What are the real implications? What does it mean when a major global player decides to redefine its role in dozens of international forums, all at the same time? That's the real takeaway here, and it's a question we're all going to see answered in the years to come.